Hello and welcome to, I think it's update 4 on these. So what we're going to look at today is this idea of converting the coal order office actually into a little signal box. And it's going to be relatively easy because what we've got is when we did the goods shed, we had these, which are the windows that are left over from the goods shed. And I've also got this, which is left over from the station building. Now, if you're watching this on its own and you wonder what I'm talking about, this is part of a series where I'm making a layout. If you haven't followed the series and you haven't got these kits, you could still do this. Just use whatever window you've got available, or you could even just scratch build your own. But I happen to be using these that are left over from the Wheels goods shed kit. And what we're going to do, very simple, is we're going to put a window in this side so that effectively our signal box will have a window as it would have done in each wall. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to also change the ends round because my signal box is going at this end of my layout and I'd like the bigger window that end. But whichever way, and if you're following this series, if you're going to have your signal box at the other end, you might like to have the bigger window at the other end. So that's what we're going to do. So relatively simple. I'm going to take my side here. I'm going to measure the size of the window. 21 by 14 centimetres. I'm going to think about where I want it because it's got to come at the top of these, which is 25, 26. So I know I need a line 25, 26 up, which as it happens is in line with that, which will keep it nice and simple. And I'd like it quite near the front. So we're going to put it there somewhere. Out of interest, let's just check that line. Yes, that's the same line as that window. So we're going to follow this line. We're going to put a line here. Measure twice, cut once. Just going to take us to there. There we go. I'll do the same again. So that we know where our window's going. We can take our trusty craft knife. Now I've got a line here to follow, so I don't need my ruler for that. And I find it's better to do a number of shallow strokes than try and do one big one. It also means if you go wrong, you're less likely to cause damage. And it's usually best just to turn it around and do some the other way as well. There you go. I've just overrun, but it will be hidden. So it's coming through quite well. And always remember as well, it's better to make it slightly smaller if you have to. You can always remove material. You can't add it. So I'm going to mark it all out first. To make sure my cut doesn't go too far, I'm going to put a little mark I can see. Now, there's an interesting thing on knives. I was always told to use a scalpel because they're sharp, but I've only ever used the Stanley knife. Even when I used to make commercial masters from the war games industry in plastic, I still only ever used a Stanley knife. I'm going to use actually here the inside line here on that beam. So I didn't notice that was there, and I think, yeah, it's going to come slightly ahead in front of. So there you go. I'm doing this as I go along. In fact, you need to start here because where I was is fractionally further over, and that's not going to work because we've got this big beam of plastic on the inside. So that's where we need to start. Now, I'd rather make the mistake online though, and then people can see that's how we work. We work as we go along. So this might be fractionally small now, but that's good. We can always make that bigger. There we go. And there we go. That's our window. So let's get one and have a little look. Yep, so it fits quite well that way. We need to take a little bit more off this edge. And this is where I'm sure we're going to get some of the serious modelers getting quite upset about the way I'm doing things. But this is for beginners. This is trying to keep it simple, that everybody can do using basic tools. And yes, it is a little bit hit and miss because it's the first time I've done it, but that's how you learn. There we go. And our window will fit in there. Now what we're going to do, we're going to use one of these, just an ordinary emery board. You don't need big expensive files. We're going to keep making the hole a little bit bigger till we get a nice push fit. There we go. That's our window. Now we're going to leave it white because we're going to paint the others white. But obviously we're not going to stick it in yet because we'll put it in when we painted the walls. But you can see that looks just fine. So that's going to go at this end. So we'll just quickly stick this together and then in a minute we'll paint it up. Now we're going to leave that like that to dry. I'm quite fortunate, I've got squares on my board so I can use that to get square. We'll make the roof as well, but as I say, don't go painting things, sticking the windows and doors in yet because we'll do those in a minute. And I'm also going to use this door off the station, trimmed a little. It's a little bit tall, but beyond that it's a good fit. And what we'll do is we'll trim a little bit off the top because that then gives us a door with a window in, which looks a bit nicer on a signal box. And what we will do, we'll just quickly stick the roof on so that you can see that, because I'm going to paint it. You could paint the roof first, but I'm actually going to paint it all once it's built. And this edge just wants a little bit. I'm going to sit and hold this edge for a minute because it keeps pinging out. But there we go. And then we'll leave that to dry. And when it's dry, we'll do the painting on it. But that is going to make a really rather nice little signal box. I'm quite pleased with that idea. I've actually got the idea, I've got another kit, and I'm also going to use one to make a little station building for a hall, which will be very nice, I think. We've got a couple of holes in the top where the sign goes, but we can fill those quite easily with a little bit of scrap sprue or even a bit of glue and paint. Because the sign we're going to use, obviously, to put on the other office. This is an old one, to say coal order office, because we're going to convert the other one into a coal order office. There we go. So let's just show you how we do the door. It's just fractionally tall. So all we need to do is take a little bit off the top of our craft knife. That's then the right height. It's a teeny bit wide. So we're just going to file the edges of the door and potentially the door frame till it fits. And then that'll fit in there. And there we go, that's the door done. So I'm just going to show you how we're going to fill the holes on the top of this, which is quite simply, we're going to cut the pegs off the sign because we don't need them to attach it to the other building. And we're going to glue them in the holes. 1, 2, and that's filled those holes up. So we're now ready to paint our building. I happen to have a new tin of paint here, Hornby R419, although as I said you could use artist acrylics much cheaper. They do need a bit of a stir sometimes. Having been modelling for 40 odd years, it's only recently somebody pointed out to me I was using little bits of sprue, that a big flat stirring stick works much better, which it does. And some of these paints do need a good stir, and they'll need a good couple of coats. So I'm going to use this colour as my base colour for my building. If you are going to buy expensive model paints, I do recommend the Hornby RC colours. I'm assuming that RC stands for railway colour, I don't know, but it seems to be the railway range. Although, as I say, you can do this just as effectively with much cheaper artist acrylics. So here we are, we're just going to paint the roof. I'm just using a grey paint, dark grey. We did cover the roofing techniques in the earlier video, so you can do light grey and dark wash if you want, but I'm going to do a darker grey and just a dry brush on this. It's quite a good paint, this one. It's a bit thicker and it does tend to only need one coat, which is a help. And that's the roof done. So once the roof is dry, then we're just going to pick out the gutters. A little bit of black paint, just so you can see what we're doing there. I'll put it down there so it's a little bit firmer for me. So we're going to run it along there, do the ends and just do underneath. Being careful not to paint the walls at the same time. And there we go. Let's get it in the camera. It's trying to get the camera angle. There's your gutter. So we'll just do the other side. Once your gutters are done, obviously then you can also paint your downpipes black. So now we've got the bulk of the building painted. I'm just going to dry brush the roof and then we're going to stick some of the details on. Now we showed this obviously in the earlier video on painting, but basically what we're doing is getting a little bit of grey on a dry brush and then we're just going to work it upwards over the roof just to pick out the tile detail. So what we'll do now, we're just going to stick the windows and doors in, including our new window. Just a dribble of cement top and bottom, and this one we've cut quite nice so it's more or less a push fit. There we go, that's that one. Now the kit ones, I've realised you can stick inside or outside, but I'm going to stick mine on the inside because I want a slightly finer look for mine. But you can stick them inside or outside, depends which way around you put them. There we go, that's like that. If you do the outside, they just have a heavier look, which to me doesn't look right. So that's our other window there in the front. Oh, dropped it. Could use tweezers for this as well, but I've decided to use the Mark 1 hand. That's our other one in. And then we've got our new door, which is taken from the station building. You can use the kit one. I just like the idea that this one's got a window in it. A bit more appropriate possibly for a signal box. All we've done is cut a little bit off the bottom, filed a little bit off the sides, and that makes it a particularly nice fit. So by and large then, that's our little signal box coming along quite well. We've then got our downpipes, and these again just fit in. That that way around. I think they're interchangeable. Yeah. That one goes in there. Let's get the camera angle like that. Just glue the other one on the back. Now what I've actually done here, I've pushed it in dry and then just glued it from the back, which seems to work quite well. That's why we paint them before we stick them on. And that, for all intents and purposes, is our signal box. And as I say, so I've paid about £6 or £7 for that kit. Got the coal, this will now become, so while I've been doing this, This is the little coal order office now. We'll just put the little board on the front. The little wheels ratio signal box that's smaller than this is about £8 or £9. This has effectively come out at about £4 and it's a bigger signal box. I know a few people have pointed out technically they're ground lever frame cabins. I've got a bit of muck on there. But Will's called theirs a signal box. I'm going to call mine a signal box. Right, so what I should also say is Dapol give you this sheet of clear plastic, and obviously it's a simple case of cutting a square and oblong and just gluing them in behind your windows to give you glazing. So I'll sit and do that in a minute, but that's a nice easy job to do. Let's just do one to show you. And then that glazes your windows.
Hi, thanks for watching the video and for the nice comments. Click on the left for a previous video in this series, click on the right for another video you might enjoy, and please don't forget to click to subscribe, like, comment, etc. Thanks again.